after you do your job in a way, you know. But the day-to-day was varied based on your job. But for my job, like when we did it like every other week. One week we'd be on the fob, like guarding the fob, you know, the forward operating base, I guess would be what fob is for the uninitiated. But one week you're guarding the fob, the next week you're outside of it, like patrolling, like doing things that range from, you know, clearing the route, you know, getting rid of IEDs and stuff like that, and going to like city council meetings and stuff like that, or you know, going on raids looking for specific people, just running logistical convoys back and forth from the next higher base where they push your supplies from. Anything that you can imagine, like, would have been a reason why we would have gone out. So tons and tons of things that we did. Very difficult to describe what your job would be.
I have another friend that was there for like 2 years, and he, you know, much lower position, but he just sat in the desert. He didn't see any action.
Really? Where was he?
Cat ship. Oh, he might have seen a little bit, but they, you know, they would go on walks and stuff. But he said that mostly they were just sitting in the desert. His particular group.
That's interesting.
So are you? You're not going back anytime soon. Oh, the path that your career to happen.
Not this year, but
Do you want to go back
I do, but in a certain kind of way.
with what you're doing, with what you're learning?
Right. And it wouldn't be this year. Like all this year, I'll be in training, and then when I get done, then I'll go to an active group, people that send people out, you know, to work with people. And then at that point, I'd want to go back, but in that capacity, it'd be a little different. It'd be a smaller group of people, a little bit more informal scenario, a little bit more opportunity to innovate, you know, more creative control over what's going on. The ability to kind of take something from like you collecting information, developing the information and turning it into a target that you either want to do something to or get to work with you, or, you know, positively or negatively, you know, use that information. Very much total control over the whole process, you know what I mean? Very different from what I'm used to.
So you've been at it for how long now?
4 years. That was about a week ago.
So what's your, like, you know, what's your summary? 4 years. It's been good?
Does that help?
Are you just getting to what you want to do now? I mean, what's like that?
No, you know, I told my parents before I ever started, I said, I'll do it as long as it's interesting and as long as I'm learning something. And since I started, that's never been a problem. It's always been interesting, and I've always been learning things. But now I've had to come up with like a new reason to want to do it. I mean, that's not good enough anymore. I have to realize that there's other things out there, and there's plenty of opportunity cost for wanting to stay longer. Think of all the other things that you could be doing right now, you know. It's certainly hard on like your family and friends, like, to be gone for long periods of time. And that's true. And so now I've decided to upgrade my requirements from the job. Not only do I need to be learning new things and it needs to be interesting experience, but now I feel like I need it to be the thing I want to do to the exclusion of other things. Like, that seems kind of like a cop-out, like, but, you know, if I think of everything else, like, is it still better than all those other things, in my opinion, you know? That has to be a factor now. I'm thinking about other things I want to do in life, and if it doesn't pass that test, then it's no good anymore. So far, so good, though. I've never regretted it at all. So,
At what point are you in your current contract? Like, you can't just decide tomorrow that you want to stop and walk out. So you have to like make an agreement to stay X amount of time, and then when that runs out, you say yes or stay or move on.
Yeah, it depends. Like, as
Yeah,
a,
that's the position.
when you're enlisted, you definitely sign like real contracts, just like you would if you were playing professional baseball. You know, I owe 4 years. These are the conditions of my contract, kind of thing. But when you're an officer, like you start up and at a certain level, and once you pass your initial commitment, you're essentially what they call a you're like voluntary indefinite. It means like you're there because you want to be, but you're there indefinitely. You can leave at any point. Is basically what it means. But everything you do that the Army like spends money on you basically can add to your commitment. Like they have what they call active duty service obligation, which like say if you go to a school or something like that, that might add a year to your commitment. When I go to this next school, it's going to add 3 years because of how involved and how much money they're about to invest.
But
Yeah.
they pay for everything.
They
They pay for everything.
Yeah, it's a year
And your
of
obligation
just
is to stay
non-stop
on.
training, and they want to get their money back, after that. So.
They pay for the hookers?
Yeah. No.